seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome as the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors by Ray Sports. Raced a short trip from a week ago from Okayama on the 2000 circuit, and what a track it is. Such an enigma, renowned within F1. Qualifying just going on right now, and well, F1. It's Jorg Barney and Jason Green currently sharing honours at the front. However, there's some fierce competition in qualifying. Look at that two temp bracket. Renders, Arabian are over the street. And then likewise, Mayer and Ball all incredibly close. In fact, to get yourself on half a second, that comes off top 10 right now. Incredibly close at times. Still plenty of chance to, well, get extra laps in here, because one of the beauties of such a short lap, their current pole position time being, a 58-second dead. It's short out laps, so you can go again and again and again and again. No matter how many times you, well, in my case, mess up as well. You see a bit of a spin there from almost right on cue. That's Antonio Rice. Somebody doesn't mess up normally, but quite easy for that final corner, isn't it? Turn 9, just to lose the rear end where you're just pushing it and just trying to just carry all that momentum you spoke about earlier, Owen, just all the way through the corner.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, that last corner is very sketchy towards the final part of it. Of course, it kind of opens up at the start and kind of closes off towards the end, and you have that curve met with a bit of gravel in the end as well to stop you from going out too wide. But yeah, as you said earlier, these guys are having like a lot of laps in so far. 11 laps for Jorg Barney so far, as he is on pole position by just about a tenth of a second. So yeah, I feel like we're going to see a lot more laps coming in, and if anything said by last week's qualifying performance from Jorg Barney, I think we can see him.
Lap and Green not really on an improving one. No, goes in fact about 4 tenths slower. However, Eric Rodenbush has set the fastest sector 4 of anyone. I mean, it baffles me. A track of this size has 4 sectors on iRacing. What? Why?
That's a very good question. One that we might not know for a long time. It should really have 2, to be honest. But yeah, just say the lap times are coming in thick and fast, and yeah, I mean, not too much improvement. In fact, most people are setting the same time that they set in their fastest lap. So yeah, again, quite difficult to try and set a big improvement anywhere. But yeah, as you say, it's very close between all of them so far. Even some of the Spec 2 guys and Spec 1 guys getting guys as well. So yeah, good to see. And yeah, again, it's a long way to go here in qualifying. So maybe we can see someone jump up ahead who could surprise us with their brand sevens. Who knows? But yeah, any time will tell.
They're on the cusp, aren't they? But then
very much so.
It's one of those. Lovely analogy there, and yeah, coming into that final corner, so crucial, not just to close out your lap, but then also to start the next one. So it's so hard to find that additional time, especially in this open qualifying format.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these cars are renowned for its front end bite. As we see, a lot of these guys are struggling, as we see there with Megan trying to just rotate the front end a little bit too much there. But yeah, these cars have so much front bite, that especially with this last corner, the flowing nature of it, and it goes on for so long, it can be really hard to kind of keep that front bite planted and not over rotate the rear end at all. And yeah, setting up the lap here is difficult as well because, as you said, not only have you got to keep the car under control for that section, you've also got to try and get a decent lap in to start your next one. So yeah, it's very tough here as we see Renders jumping up, it seems, in Speed 2 with a time that is a little bit closer to Jorgmani. Not something that he'd like to see, but he's still P1 nonetheless, just for now.
This has gone, what, just over half a tenth slower than Marnie. I mean, it's really hard to comprehend just how much of a difference that is. Certainly around a circuit like this, it's just a tiny bit of extra throttle application through one of the corners, and that is all that's separating. Well, effectively, our top three, as Green's got slightly quicker as well with a 58.14. It's right on board with Jorgmani to start us off. There's plenty of these, and I always find it's a bit tricky turn one. Different lines you can take through there depending on what you want to achieve, but I always find a bit of a leg. Just had Arabian go second. Well, I mean, look at that. Second, third, and fourth covered by 0.02 of a second. Frightening. I mean, it's going to be fierce and competitive between those top four, certainly, if qualifying's to go by. I tend to discredit a few of the drivers a little bit further down through the field, your likes of your Overstreets, your Reeses, your Ronenbergs too. They'll definitely be in there fighting it out if they get half a chance. And especially if they... it's going to be interesting with this circuit and how the top four play this. Whether they work together and work their way through, or they go for something a little bit different. Of course, I mean, Simon Ball, 7th at the moment in qualifying. He's had a victory already this season all the way back at Watkins Glen. Thomas Renders has 2. He's currently in 3rd, so there's still plenty of competitive drivers out there trying to achieve this one. And, well, down it within the final minute. And pretty much those who haven't started a lap now, they're not going to get an additional time in. So this is it, last chance for so many of our drivers, although a few of them are already into the pits of C. Brewster. His last lap was an improvement of 58.69. Moving up into 11th place, did the American, as he just rounds into the penultimate corner here at Tsukuba, the hairpin, winds it up. Pick up a bit of a slipstream there from the car in front of him, which is Alan de Garcias. What can Brewster achieve here? Is it going to be an improvement from him? He's only gone really faster in Sector 2, so I don't think there's going to be too much improvement, if at all. 58.69 to beat, and, well, there we go. In fact, just over 58.57, although not good enough. Arnie starts on pole with Ferenc Arabian alongside him. Thomas Renders on the second row with Jason Green. Then it's Overstreet and Mayer who are going to make up a row 3 of the grid. With Ronenberg just displacing Simon Ball. Those two obviously start for the same row, but just swapping around there in the depths of qualifying. 7th and 8th for those, respectively. Then row 5, and to round out your top 10, it's 2nd in Masters and 1st in Spec 2. Antonio Reyes is next to Chris Montgomery. We've got Jim Brewster and Pedro. Row 6, row 7 sees Alan de Garcias and Michael Jean alongside one another, and Brad Shaw. He's got Jeff Jacobs being Tom Laurie and Gary Walbolt. American row there, and Franz Reck and Kaj Hansen, who mentioned, did not set a time start last time. Both his laps, sadly, being deleted due to track excursions and off-the-track limits there. Wow. Place your bets now, really, Owen, isn't it? Who's going to walk away with this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult to say. As I said before, the track is being, obviously very narrow, very, flowy and very short as well. So I think we can expect to see a lot of people very close, more than most circuits that we've been to this season so far. So, yeah, I reckon it's going to be quite elbows out, I think, to be honest. There's a lot of tracks, or a lot of corners here, where there's, a lot of cambered corners. So, I think people can try and make that too wide through some of these corners work. And, some late apexes, especially through turn 1, that could be an opportunity to send it down the inside and get a little bit of a switch back if you're able to. And
who was the driver who's just trying to make it past at this early stage? Can't quite get it done. However, they've all had a good shuffle around the back, and it was Hansen, in fact, who made it 3 places. You're going to see some Bradshaw dropping 6 and 5, respectively, in this opening lap. I mean, that's not the start you want to have, because it is a challenge to pass around here.
Yeah, indeed. The start you do want to have, though, is one by Jorgmani. He's very comfortably in the lead so far. Haven't had too much pressure from behind, even though it's a small gap. Only 3 attempts still separates them and separates most of the guys here so far. So, yeah, very good start by Jorgmani so far. And, yeah, it's looking very dicey, as I said before. And let's see if this slipstream comes into effect in turn 1.
goes, winding the cars up right now. Down into turn 1, we go hard onto the brakes, and that is the move done there. And Ronenberg, well, not just done once, done twice as Ball and Race slip their way past the...
Would we see Eric try and make a move down the camera corner at turn 3, it seems? Yeah, he's trying to keep on the positions that he kind of lost there at the very beginning. He's just all out of shape at the minute, going offline. But he's still trying to hold that position well. He's doing very well so far as Eric to try and hold on that position. And yeah, keeps Antonio behind for now as he tries towards the inside. Doesn't get the move done as much as he'd like to. Keeps the position. But yeah, some ball moves up into P7 so far. So yeah, very good start by these guys so far. Keeping position fairly easy so far, but yeah, still a couple of moves here and there as Eric looks towards the inside last corner. It's a little bit of a look to the right hand side mirror of Simon Ball there as we look down towards turn 1. Let's see if Eric can try and make a little revenge move, it seems. Chance to go towards the outside. Can he make a stick around the outside of turn 1? Try and get the switch back at all. No, it seems like Antonio is going to go side by side again with Eric. Very good moves here so far as he just tucks back in behind. Doesn't go for anything too big, too early on. Again, still 40 minutes left in this race, well, a 40-minute race overall, so, you know, pace yourself and look after these tyres towards the end. You know, the flow nature of this track will damage your tyre wear in some way, so yeah, got to make sure that you're really keeping after. They're looking quite dicey early on so far.
They definitely are, aren't they? And, I mean, it's hard to know where to look at it in some ways. This feels...
Has to make a move, it kind of gets a bit hinged away a little bit here. But yeah, still looking towards the inside, just making sure that Eric knows he's still there, so the threat is still very much alive. But yeah, didn't want to make too many moves too early on, otherwise they're going to lose that pack at the front, which they already have started to do as well. The top 5 or 6 or so has already started to pull away. It seems like someone's trying to defend the inside. Antonio looks towards the inside, trying to get some move done. Is a little bit alongside, rear wheel to front wheel. Hits the curb a little bit, loses the front. Oh, luckily saved just then. That could have been a massive crash into the wall there. But yeah, keeps that car under control, but loses positions in the process.
Or nearly makes contact as well there with Jim Brewster, who's coming flying through with Chris Montgomery. And Race looks like he's going to drop even further behind. Yeah, that's the move done from Brewster. Exactly what he wanted. Those two, of course, battling out now. Brewster stays 10th and 11th overall between those two. And I mean, that seems for Brewster, like all of his Christmases came in at once as Race had that as, yeah, massive moment. He would have, I'm sure he probably would have clocked it at the relative, and then all of a sudden slips past him, and nearly been a contact there between the pair of them.
Yeah, for sure. They're very much racing here so far at the very early stages of this race. But yeah, Antonio's not going to be too happy with himself so far as we see Simon and Eric go side by side for the last corner. They make contact a little bit there, rear to front wheel, and there's the spin from Eric. Just gets caught on the wheels, and that's his race over with suspension damage and his rear wheel off into the distance. So yeah, shame to see that from Eric and Simon making contact there, but it's going to happen. As we mentioned before, the last one is very sketchy, and you need to stick to that kind of line that you want to make. And yeah, they make contact, and Eric comes off worse.
Oh, there's a spin in the background there. Who is that? That is Karj Hansen, who had an absolutely storming start from the back. Sadly, all of his hard work and all attack mode right now. The closest of our top 5 between them and the car in front of them. She's just clean hold at the moment. She's about 7 tenths behind Green. Love for Green to start getting into battling with Renders and fighting with him so that they close up that gap even quicker. But while making a mistake like that will definitely help the situation.
Yeah, for sure. But as we saw before, Megan might have a look towards the inside now of Jason Green, but that's a small mistake as we saw previously with, I think, Eric's battle as well. You make one mistake, someone can come right back up the inside of you and complete the move that you didn't really want to make. So, yeah, this battle is going to get quite interesting towards the mid part of the race, I feel. But yeah, I think your money is we see a spin there from Jim Brewster. That's not really going to be fighting Antonio Rees. Yeah, shame from him for that spin there, but gets it underway again. Not in the position that he hoped, down to 14th place, but yeah, he's still on the move.
Second in class, wasn't he, as well? And that's
yeah,
dropped
exactly.
him all the way down to 4th. So, well, what, like, I mean, only a few laps ago, all of his Christmas is coming at once when, particularly where they are right now, had that big twitch and massive moment that demoted him down to 3rd in class. Obviously, Brewster up in 2nd. Now it's Brewster's turn to have a moment and drop all the way back down. Ronenberg utilising his one fast repair, and he's back out on track. And well, somehow, some way, look after your tyres, or do you think you're actually better off just going for it, knowing that the car in front of you is doing exactly the same and dealing with the consequences later? I don't know.
I mean, you can for sure try and strategize it in a way where you try and pick off your moves early on and then get into a comfortable position to the point where you can afford to back off ever so slightly and keep them tyres in a good position by taking the entries a little bit slower and not as hard on the brakes, just to keep them brakes and tyres in a good condition. But yeah, trying to make their moves early on, as we've seen, is really crucial to try and put yourself in that better position for the mid part to the end of the stint. And then you can use that tyre weight that you saved up right towards the end, which is what I'd be doing in this scenario.
So we are a quarter way through the race. Yogmani leads, and it's Arabian second, Renders third. You can see the screen leading this three-car gaggle of himself, Green and Overstreet. Third, fourth, fifth, respectively. Then it's Mayer. He's 1.8 seconds behind these guys. Ball, second in class in Masters, is Antonio Race. He's eighth, and the leader. Inspector Montgomery ninth. Running out the top 10 is Pedro Carvalho, who's up 2 places. Then it's Genet, Laurie, Brewster, Walbolt, although Brewster's just got ahead of Walbolt there after he's coming back through the pack after that earlier spin. Renneberg is ahead of him. He is a lap car, and that's going to be a nice little move, isn't it, for Laurie? Up the inside there and gets himself up into 11. That's not 6 places he's gone, the highest position gainer. 15th we've got Alan DeGarcias, and then it's Hansen, Reck, Jacobson, Ronenberg, who's 1 lap down, and Bradshaw, who is retired. We sadly lost Adam Bradshaw all the way back on lap 4.
Yeah, going back on that move with Tom as well, it's he's going to be very happy with himself after making that move at turn 1, going off into the grass and losing a lot of time to Michael beforehand. So yeah, he's going to be quite happy that he's been able to regain that pace and get that move back again. So that car, Tom Laurie's car seems to have a lot of pace in it, as we see him trying to move forward after that move from Michael G. Nelson as well. But yeah, I think he's one to watch, especially for the end, to try and move up them positions and try and get a win in this class.
This is Tony Rice having to cling on for dear life by the tips of his fingers on the inside there, where he had the ball right on the outside and still remaining side by side. Although Tony Rice is a wily old fox. There you go, he has it covered off, just covering off the apex. So Ball had to slow up, and he's secure that 7th place for the Portuguese driver. Oh wow, that was a lovely little moment, a textbook example of how to get the move done on your competitor into turn 1 and then just kill off any momentum so they can't come back at you.
Yeah, indeed. Ooh. As we see Nelson spin on the cambered corner at turn 4, I believe this is as well. It's a shame from here, but he was looking fairly good towards that mid part of the start of the race. As we see a little bit of a replay here of what happened to him. Behind him in the 933 car of Jim Brewster behind. Does he make a move on the inside? No, it seems like he's going to overcut the front end and loses the rear end in doing so. And that's a self spin from Michael G. Nelson there. He's not going to be too happy with himself for that one for sure. But yeah, he keeps going.
Well, Thomas Renders has dropped a place. Green's managed to get past through and could even potentially leave a place here to Wavy Street. It's like an incredibly racy. You can sense that Renders is maybe just out of his bit of rhythm from losing that place to Green. Now, it's what Green can do. They've dropped a lot of time to our top 2 of Marnie and Arabian, and Green right now has got to show that he can just pull away, just try and desperately get away from the clutches of Renders. Although, I mean, sometimes it's easier to follow than be the one being followed.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Jason's not really worried too much about the pressure of Thomas behind. He's already made a 5-10 gap so far from that move. So yeah, he's off on the charge for the front 2 so far. But yeah, it seems like he has the pace to do so. So we see Thomas just go a little bit wider. Megan looking towards the inside, but we can carry that momentum through to turn 1. Thomas will have a little bit of overspeed from that last corner. Megan looking towards the inside, launches the car in. Does she get that move stuck? Oh, it's side by side, very close on the exit there. You have flowing corners through 2 and 3 soon to come, and then the camber turn 4. It seems like Thomas is ahead a little bit for now. We'll get the inside line for this camber corner. We'll really help him out here. Does so, and yeah, Megan goes a little bit wide, giving the move to Thomas Renders there. But yeah, let's see what Jason can do to try and catch up to the top 2 at the front.
He's going to have to dig deep, isn't he? I mean, that's some big old margin. 3.5 seconds the gap to Arabian, currently in second, who's himself a second behind Marnie, still leading here at the fast approaching 15-minute mark out of 40 from Tsukuba. We head to next week. Bit of a different track. We're at Atlanta. Won't be short of overtaking opportunities around there. Well, that's for certain, and won't have to worry about the tyre temperatures either quite as much, unless it's a scorching hot track. Maybe it remains to be seen. Of course, late in the season, visiting Rudskogen, Old Park, Lime Rock Park, Brands Hatch, and Road America.
Lovely.
Not a bad little season. That's all. A long way to go before, well, pretty much at the halfway stage, aren't we now? Week 6 out of the 12. As we start getting down to the business end. You know, these newscasts, people starting to find their feet with them. Last time I have just spotted talking to find your feet with them. Seeing that gap has shrunk a little.
And build that momentum away from Green. They've probably seen the pace that Green's got and probably think they don't want much of that business. So, yeah, they're definitely on the charge to try and get some momentum built for the top 2.
A little bit skatey there, feathering the throttle is Marnie as Arabian hunts him down. As they come across the line. Well, it's a new fastest lap from Marnie.
Ooh.
A new personal best, or at least equaling from Arabian. You said they're really pushing it, but they just... It looks like Arabian just taking a big chunk of time out into turn 1 over Marnie, and I suppose having that bit of a buffer, Marnie's got the control of this race, hasn't he? Back somewhere off camera, Overstreet has made it past Renders. Oh, looks like Renders is off.
But it's the same thing we saw with Jim Brewster before, where he lost it on the entry. Let's have a look. Let's see a replay. Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a self-spin. No one else around him to cause him to spin him other than themselves. Let's have a look. Is it similar to what we saw before? Just a little bit more wide, but yeah, just... Oh, dear. That's a big hit on the suspension. I'm very surprised that Megan's still able to continue. That's a big hit on the right front suspension of Megan there. But yeah, they're able to keep on going, and the car seems to be in a stable condition. But I know, as we see Thomas pitting for, I believe, a repair. Both of them do, in fact.
Maybe it's wise. They're well inside the pit window here at Tsukuba. So coming in like a little bit earlier. It looks like, that's Ronenberg in the pits too, although he's been stationary for a while. So that could be the car parked and his afternoon done and dusted. That's both Renders and Overstreet head in. Where are they going to come out? And also, what sort of traffic are they going to come out into? That's a bit of an interesting point. There's Alan Garcias ahead of them. So Overstreet out first, although she did come into the pits first, so that would make a bit of sense. And
speaking of the traffic, there it is.
Franz Reck just ahead. Well, he squeezed the outside. Overstreet knows she's got to get the move done early. There we go.
I don't think they worked too hard for it, of course, but yeah, Thomas Renders comes out quite far behind, actually, further than what we saw when into the pits compared to Megan. But yeah, I mean, they get the pit stop done out the way with, so let's have a look at where they come out compared to the rest of them when they start making their pits. But yeah, obviously a shame for Raymond. Thought we saw with Jim, but obviously just was a bit wider, so came back on the track and straight into the suspension of Megan Overstreet there.
This shows us practicing your pit entries and exits. So there was only 2 temps different in terms of time stationary between Bay Round. Another new fastest lap, Arabian taking that one as this battle to see how this one pans out. And like you say, Laurie said to give that one relatively easy to Brewster, but then Laurie straight back on it and looked like he's getting stuck in and trying to fight this one out.
Yeah, indeed. It seems like, well, I forget they got ahead of them. So they got like a very big gap, actually. Very big gap of 6 seconds in front of them. So maybe, yeah, Jim is thinking about the long game here. As we see the interval screen there, yeah. So a big gap in front of them. So maybe they're just thinking to try and catch up to the rest of them ahead and see what they can do towards the later part of the race here. But yeah, as you mentioned before with Arabian, getting very close to the end of real one here. In fact, 0.4, now 0.3 is the gap now between both of them. And yeah, they're really trying to stick it up between them both, trading fastest laps, and they have both the fastest laps shared, a 58.10. So yeah, it's very close to them too, as well as we see them two get very close as well, in Jim Brewster and Tom Vory.
Funny enough, I was waiting for you to finish your point, and then you beat me to it over the whole Arabian and Marnie battle. I've just been sat there, you know, watching them. Just see what they do. Like so many of the drivers, where they're far stronger in one part of the circuit, the other driver's weaker, you know, faster in the other, and the times, it's like an accordion. It closes up, it contracts, then it expands again, in and out those gaps. It's like we're seeing there between Brewster and Laurie, but here are our top 2 and down to 4 attempts, and starting to feel the pressure maybe a little bit is Marnie. Although, having said that, this lap time last time around, just ever so slightly quicker. This is realistically more. The work here is for Arabian to do, not necessarily for Marmony. We know how tricky it is to pass around here. As Montgomery into the pits, Rek is just exiting the pits after he's visited in as Franz Rek. There goes your leader in Spec 2. He's going to now take control of that one. Him and Gary Wolbolt still remaining out on track at this stage of the race. They're with one another, aren't they? Look at them.
Yeah.
Not willing to give an inch.
My point.
Really pushing it, went for a move, and well, wasn't quite that. Absolutely epic racing though between both Laurie and Brewster, neither giving each other an inch, and side by side for well, half of the track nearly it seemed here. That's Tsukuba. Great stuff from those two Americans. Know each other well from the series, and yet again providing great entertainment as Laurie electing to that spin to carry on going again, clearly feeling the car is okay. This stage of the race, so we're well over half race distance now, 24 minutes out of the 40 complete. That gap shrunk again, hasn't it? It's down to 3 tenths and closing as Arabian tucking right up behind Yorgmani. And just, it's interesting watching. They've both, I mean, as you mentioned, both sharing the fastest lap with exactly the same time, but they've both got very different ways of attacking the circuit, different lines, although I feel maybe it's a little bit of a more of a defensive game, certainly for the first time in this race that Marnie's having to employ right now.
Yeah, we'll definitely start feeling the pressure, seeing that gap really close up compared to the last 3 laps now. As you see Arabian, as you said, different lines taken, and the gap kind of ebbs and flows here and there in this track, and it seems like Yorgmani has the bit of advantage at the start to mid part of this track, but it seems like Arabian has that better advantage towards the end of the lap as well. So that may come into Arabian's favour when he tries to pit, really use that momentum to try and build up on the last part of the track here. But yeah, that gap has just increased again by another 10th. So yeah, ebbs and flowing all the way, but yeah, definitely Yorgmani will start to feel a little bit of pressure creep in as he sees that purple car right up the rear end.
It's just a little bit changing around as well. Overstreet's got past Alan Tagasius for 10th place. Sinead's into the pits as well. He started, at first he was just looking at the front door. Now he's starting to have a good knock at it, is Arabian. And just in the water. If I just put my nose in, let's see how Yorgmani reacts to this. And, well, I think Arabian
stage just over Yorgmani a little bit. I mean, his last lap not showing too great, but he definitely has the momentum in the final part of the sector. So maybe he can use that advantage to try and get out in clean air and hopefully have a better Sector 1, Sector 2, and yeah, see if we can try and make that momentum outside the pit lane.
I mean, surely Arabian's got to have the better tyres. No, other way around. Marnie's going to have the better tyres, where he hasn't had to push anywhere near as hard as Arabian has been in recent laps to close the gap down, try and hunt down Marnie and just ask those questions. The Swiss driver, although they are starting to encroach on a little bit of traffic. They have lapped so far everyone up to and including Wolbolt in 14th, who took 4 places. Not as good as Tom Laurie's at 8 currently, but those drivers yet to start. Top driver that has stopped, you see on the screen right now, that is Overstreet. He's just 3 tenths behind Laurie, and I think this could be the move done. Well, a little bit deceptive there from the camera angle. I thought she was really closing in. I was going to make a move there into the final corner, elected against it, and I tell you what,
it's very close.
Yeah, I can hear your sharp intake of breath. I'm definitely feeling it as well right now, Owen. As here we go, look at the inside, and there we go. Laurie just makes it easy, swoops outside, looks at the late apex, and just to carry that momentum on and going, Overstreet through. It's probably hammer time for her right now.
Yeah, we saw Tom not defending it too much again, similar with Jim Brewster as well, but what really his plan is at this minute in time. I mean, obviously we saw he let Jim go at turn 1, similar thing what happened now with Megan, but he tried to let Jason try and, I think it was Brewster try and, build up that gap towards the front end, but yeah, it seems that Megan is able to do that, really building a gap compared to Laurie now. So yeah, maybe Laurie's done the sensible thing and letting her go and try and feed off the slipstream of her gearbox.
bit further up through the field. Here's Renders. Going to be... I've been going for him. That spin and then that contact with Overstreet, and the way he came out, obviously lost that second and a half in the pit lane. Helping him, he's up the inside there. That's Parcel and Degacius, although that got a bit tight for comfort between the pair of them. Breathe in, everyone. Although Renders is now ahead up into 11th. I mean, whopping 3.2 seconds now behind Tom Lawrie, who's currently in 10th. And equally, I mean, just goes to show, came in literally half a second, 3/4 of a second behind Overstreet at the pit stops. Since then, there is a gap now of, what is it, 6 seconds? I believe,
yeah, that is big.
Yeah, between Renders and Overstreet. Overstreet's really been able to open that one up. However, to reach the half-an-hour mark, 10 minutes left to go here from Tsukuba. How late are these lot going to leave it? That's the question.
Yeah.
As the wow, maybe this is the answer.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah, as we
this is
see,
the answer.
York Money comes in, Arabian stays out. So let's have a look at the pit entry here from York Money, see how quick it is. Oh, that seemed very late on the anchors for the pit entry line there, but yeah, again, very
I'm not sure about that one personally, Owen. I don't know about you. When you were saying, "Oh, that's close," I thought, I'm not sure that that's. Well, we'll find out very shortly. Interesting. Look at that, pointing the car to the left. I clearly can't have a penalty. He's on the rev limiter. He's got it done and dusted. Where is he going to come out? That's the question. Carvalho is in from 7th place as the Brazilian. Out comes Marnie, going to come out into 6th. And I tell you what, that's exactly what he wants. Look at it. Nobody is around him, neither in front or behind. However, Arabian's going to have the lighter car, so he's going to be able to go quicker. But he hasn't got to haul all that mass around. Lawrie and Degacius, they're into the pits. Is Arabian surely going to be in this time around? Yes, he is. Here we go.
So let's see if this entry is anywhere near as York Marley. York Marley is very on the limit. Let's have a look as he comes up to the entry line now. Oh, it's not as quick. It's safer for sure, but it's not as quick as York Marley's was. Let's have a look and see how much of a gap that was. Again, the gap was around about 6 tenths, 5 tenths before they came in the box here. So let's have a look at where he comes out compared to York Marley. And yeah, as you say, York Marley had a very clean track ahead of him, so not much to really focus on ahead, more just his lap time and the way the car feels underneath him. So yeah, let's have a look as he comes around the final corner now. It's going to be very tight on the exit. I feel like York Marley's going to take it, but by how much? Never mind. He's not. See Arabian coming out.
He's not.
Wow.
Look at that. That is a big old jump from Arabian, who, I mean, let's have a little look at the... So, yeah, Marnie's overfueled the car. He was stationary for 4 seconds longer. And that's what's done it.
Has Arabian underfueled? As he maybe took too less fuel in? That might be the question that... Yeah. Because we see York Money seems to, you know, have a bit of more confidence with his...
Now, I would, looking at everyone else's pit stop times as a bit of a gauge, Jason Green, who came in at the same time as Arabian, had a near identical amount of time stopped us. There's Simon Mayer in, someone who I mentioned you knew full well Arabian was going to do the opposite, wasn't he? It's the only way they're going to get the jump on one another. It looks like something's happened to Renders out on track. Well, he's up and running there, although whereabouts is he? So he's just timed Antonio Rice, so... And also, Simon Ball is now hot on his heels, so I think he's lost a little bit of a time somewhere out on track. Let's have a little look at his last lap time. It doesn't seem to be too much different. In fact, actually, yes, it was. He'd lost a whole heap of time.
Around someone here, overcooking the front end. Maybe it's a little bit too quick. Yeah, there it is. The rear end just kind of flicks around with the too quick on entry. Tries to grab it with the brakes, but then over pushes the front end of the car. So yeah, that will be not very nice for his tyres to really experience there. But yeah, Render's not really having the best of time here. Lost 3 positions in class, 4 positions overall so far. Yeah, this is not the round to remember for Render so far.
He put in such a strong qualifying performance did the Dutchman as well. I think that's the gutting part for me. He clearly had that pace within him, and it's just the way the cookie crumbles, though, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, you can start even on the front row, can't you, in your class, and not finish there.
Yeah, indeed. It's a tough one for sure.
I know. I feel your pain, mate. As much as I'm mocking you slightly.
Yeah.
But no, all things considered, I mean, not a bad performance from Redders, 7th overall. It could have gone far worse. You look at what happened to Paul Aaron Ronenberg due to his contact and the amount of time and positions he lost.
Sure, as we see last lap though, it seems like Arabian couldn't keep up that same amount of performance he did in the final lap. Yeah, only a 58.3 for Arabian last time round with a 58.12 from York Money. As I was mentioning earlier, it seems like York Money has a little bit more consistency here and there. It seems like Arabian might be a little bit faster, but yeah, York Money is definitely a lot more consistent so far.
It almost feels like Marnie's like he's got 99% of the pace that Arabian has, but he can achieve that, say, 98% of the time, whereas Arabian has by 100% of the pace. But it's wow, that's a big switch and a big moment there. This might not be quite a bit about, or is he just showboating, a bit of casual drifting through the final corner. We have only got about 2.5 minutes left remaining here for Tsukuba, round 6 of the Ray Esports Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. But yeah, Ray, like you say, Arabia's just got that bit of extra pace, but can't quite replicate it lap after lap as what Marnie has got in his, tucked up his sleeve as well. Bowser renders. It's close. How did you get that stopped in time, Simon Ball? Squeaky bum time, as it was known in football terms, but well, that was definitely one of those moments. It just casually starts out there with a little drift out of turn 4. Very nicely done there, Simon Ball. But yeah, that was millimeters, it felt like, and thank goodness the netcode gods were on their side. Otherwise, that would have ended up in a whole bowl of tears. And I get the feeling maybe this rear tyres are causing a little bit of grief right now to Ball.
Yeah, indeed. As he saw him trying to get the car stopped in time before he hit the rear end of Renders, maybe cost him, as you said, the rear end or even the front end tyres. This car relies heavily on them front end grip on them tyres to really turn this car around. So yeah, maybe his front tyres a little bit screaming out for help after that little turn 1 momento with him and Thomas Renders there. But yeah, Thomas a little bit more able to breathe a bit more easily now with Thomas behind. But yeah, not enough time left, I think, for Ball to really catch on to the rear end of Renders now, unless Renders makes a similar kind of error. But yeah, that was very, very close to being a front wheel to wheel wall contact.
And so now, something we haven't really mentioned too much. At 4 places there, as you saw Ball getting past him. Great display from him, and I'm just looking at the clock here. It's so hard to judge around here whether they're on the final lap, but then they're going to take the white flag now. 1 lap left to go here from Tsukuba. Were they saying that? Was victory here from Tsukuba. Great drive from the American. Just get a bit nervous there. Of course, that's coming through the final corner. Didn't want to throw the curse of the commentator onto him, but there we go. With a weave, he is across the line. It looks like Laurie and Walbot are going to round out the Spec 2 podium.
I just wanted to touch on as well with York Money's last lap was a 58.04. So you know, taking the final lap with a bit of heat there, with only 7 temps separating them two. So yeah, he was really pushing it from a 1.5 gap all the way down to 7 temps. So yeah, really good performance there by both York Money and Ferenz Arabian there as well. So really good race by both of them. And yeah, we've seen some good races here so far. Megan Overstreet in P5 as well. Good performance from her after being, you know, kind of sideswiped into the suspension, getting that car fixed and still able to pull off a good position after that. It's very impressive indeed. And yeah, I think we got what we did, got what we came for when coming to Tsukuba.
I think we did as well. I think we did. Action-packed, drama, just close wheel-to-wheel racing. Arabian takes his Class 5 results. Arabian taking the victory. Marnie Victor in Masters. 2nd overall against Green to round out the overall podium, with Mayer picking up the last of the Spec 1 podium positions. Overstreet 5th. Isaiah Rice, he came home 6th, 2nd in class. Then it was Renders, Ball, Carvalho, Montgomery running out your top 10, and that win in Spec 2. Brewster 11th, we're going to complete that podium in Masters, and then it's Laurie and Walbot 12th and 13th respectively, 2nd and 3rd, and that podium completes in Spec 2. Michael Genet Nelson 14th, and Alan de Gaussius last car on the lead lap 15th. Carl Jansen 1 lap down, up in incredible 4th places. Good drive from him from the back. Then it's Jacobson. Franz Reck was 2 lap down, and then into retirement. Lotte Roneberg back on lap 16, and Bradshaw back on lap 4. Let's have a chat to some of our drivers. And, well, first off, let's take Prince Arabian into the commentary booth. Hello. What? Well, I mean, we were saying in commentary it was all going to come down to pit strategy, most likely, between yourself and Jörg Marni, and well, that's what it came down to in the end. I mean, were you surprised to see the gap when you came out after the pit stops? Just how far ahead you were ahead of Jörg?
Yeah, we were discussing it afterwards, and it seems like I fueled probably just enough for the rest of the stint, and maybe I had saved some fuel while he overfueled by maybe a liter.
That's all it took. That's all
So,
it took.
Double the error.
I mean, coming on, just talk us through that final lap, though, friends, because I mean, you come into the start of the lap. I mean, the gap was about what 1.2, 1.1 seconds between yourself and Jörg at that stage. Then towards the end of the lap, you're coming up. You can see, I'm sure, on the horizon, certainly on your relative about marker. Was it getting a bit nervous for you, just watching on your relative how Jörg was catching, or did you always think I've got this in the bag, I'm okay?
Well, I was looking at the overall time, and I knew that if I would keep a 2, I would have enough of banked time. Unfortunately, obviously, there's always back markers, and luckily we have a great buy as early as possible. But there's always a little bit of trepidation in terms of trying to go into the corner.
Congratulations on the pole position, and I'm sure you would have wanted to keep that into a win, but yeah, talk us through your strategy there as well. Was it just a simple overfuel mistake there from the pit stops in the end there for you?
Yeah, I think I overfueled a bit, but I'm still struggling with those pit stops. I think I have to practice that a bit more. But it went all great. I'm really, really happy. Florence is a very nice guy, and he is in our chat box, and yeah, it was great racing. I did a little mistake, actually a little mistake. I lost time there. I lost time of lapping one car because I was too overcautious of my history in the Spec Ford. So I was too cautious and I lost too much. But otherwise, I would have even the chance to get away because I really had a steady pace. I saw that. I didn't watch the times that much. I just felt it. That was always steady. And but it was a great race. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Your pace there, especially towards the end, obviously coming out 1.5 seconds behind Forenz at the end there, all the way down to 7/10 with some really impressive lap times, especially towards the end there. So you're a racer around, it seems.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, and I mention it every single week. The guys are really, really great. They push you to get better and better, and I finally got the hang of the raid car. We call it raid car because it was called that way at the beginning, because of Stevie Ray. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, broadcasting, you guys always broadcasting us. That's so fantastic. Thanks a lot again to you guys. It's always a lot of fun to watch the video stream afterwards as well.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And again, final question, similar one to what we asked Forenz as well. Road Atlanta next week. How are you looking for that one?
I know Road Atlanta in and out.
Lovely.
I have. I think. I don't know how many laps I did there, count kind of thing. I'm looking forward. It's not a bad track. My worst section is the first S section. It's always a bit tricky for me. Well, it might work out for me. But I'm looking forward for it. It's going to be fun.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, again, congratulations on P2 today. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again at Road Atlanta.
Thanks a lot, guys, and have a nice evening.
You too, mate.
Bye-bye.
Jörg Marni there, and well, that's all we've got time for this week. Stay tuned because coming up in around about an hour's time is the